Okay, so how many people read the 2 chapters?
Read the whole book. So what was
Yeah,
the names of
Julia's
I
going.
I even read 2 extra chapters.
2 extra, yay. Ray says yes. Tammy?
Yes, I've read the whole book.
Oh man. Tracy was sick yesterday, so she didn't really read it, but I went over it with her this morning.
That took 10 seconds.
And she's, so smart, she
Yeah.
knew exactly what I was talking about before I even got there.
Hello.
So she's the best number 2 I've ever had.
I keep telling you I'm number
Just
one.
Lynn.
And Cheryl's got a dirty mind. I can
Oh, I had a comment for that too. But
Okay.
you're recording, so I'll withhold it.
Yeah,
But I will say, if you're the
no, we just
captain,
talked. We just
I'm
talked
your
about
number
this
one.
first.
Ah.
Tammy, darling, mute yourself.
Well, maybe my wife's number 1, and that would make, my wife's captain, and I'd be number 1.
You're just trying to keep me number 2 all the time,
Pushing.
right?
It's the way I've always referred to my right hand as my number 2. That's always, so that's as high as you can get, in
Yeah,
my.
your wife's got to be number 1. I mean,
Well,
You'd be 1A and I'd be 1B.
yeah, you couldn't be 1T because you're both Tracy's. Okay, so for the first chapter was the mindset of success. So for those of you who read, what do you want to say about this chapter before I start my, 10-minute lecture?
I almost feel like this chapter should have been first because it all starts with mindset.
yes.
That's, I can see both sides of that coin.
Reading this chapter, a thought that I had was, if we're reading this book in relation to our work lives, I was thinking with mindset, would I be doing my job, this job, even if I didn't get paid for it? Having that mindset that you love it that much, that it is that good of a fit.
Now, several years ago, this was probably 12, 13 years ago, I was on the island of Kauai, and Carrie Rangers called me to interview me. And I did a phone interview for the Eagle. And one of the comments I made to Carrie was, she said, "What do you hate about your job?" And I said, "I hate money. I love what I do. I would do it every day. I just wish I didn't have to worry about the money part. If I didn't have to worry about the money part, this would be the best thing I've ever done, ever in my life." So in with what you're saying, I would do this even if I didn't get paid.
Because the premise of this chapter is you don't become successful unless you're happy. There aren't very many people, I'm not saying it right. Never mind.
No, you're on the right track, because I had several people, one time, I won't mention the agent's name. Eventually she left, and she's a very unhappy person.
Mm-hmm.
She came here from a team at Keller Williams where she was just struggling. She was unhappy. She had no confidence. She had nothing. Nobody believed in her. And immediately in her first year, she doubled her production.
Right.
Because when you're happy,
Yeah.
when you feel confident, when you feel somebody's got your back, you go out and do it. Your consumers feel that. Tracy and Chris just got done telling me my attitude sucked. They didn't quite say it that
I was
way.
gonna say I didn't use those words.
I needed to improve my attitude if I'm going to recruit more. Would that be fair? Because sometimes I
get
get kind of depressed, I know none of you guys ever noticed it.
Tired. I think they're just tired.
Well, that's a different thing. But the mindset of success is very important. Anybody else want to make comments before I jump in?
I just know that when I was in radio for half my life, there was no place else I wanted to be except in the studio.
That's neat.
That was my ultimate love that made me the happiest I've ever been in my life. And
Yep.
yes, would I have done it for no pay? In a heartbeat, and there was a lot of times I did.
Right,
Yeah, I
exactly.
know.
That's what we do, right? We do it
Yeah.
for no pay.
How many times have I painted somebody's deck or hung up
Uh-huh.
gutters and I didn't get paid for that stuff, you know? I did it because I want.
On
Any-
page 57, I think that says it. This is what I was trying to say. A weak or negative mindset will never produce positive results.
Yes.
True. Regardless of what you're doing.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, that's profound.
Oh, hi, Elena. Anybody online want to comment what they took? And then I'll jump into my little comments and questions.
Well, your whole camera setting is
Okay, then. Oh, I forgot to move it.
looking weak.
Well, the
Yeah.
the ninjas book, they say that mindset, skill set, and then action. So it's got to be mindset first.
Yeah.
Before you can, even if you have the skill set, if you don't have the mindset, it doesn't.
Exactly. You
Yep.
should have all the tools, but
Yeah.
if you don't have your mind right.
So let me say a couple of things on this. Am I blown away that this was a concept I've never heard of before? No, I've heard this kind of stuff before, but I got something out of this that was a little bit different than I heard from other places, and that hit me different. And to respond to Cheryl's comment about it should have been the first chapter, I sort of agree, but I also like how they started talking about discipline. And at our level, everybody on the call here, we've all had transactions. We've all had good years. We've all had bad years. We've listed homes. We've sold homes. We know the job. Are we undisciplined with the job? And so back to, I love Cheryl. And there's part of this that comes into, could you look at yourself and say you are the most disciplined person you know?
I am the least disciplined person.
Thank you for your honesty.
To me, discipline goes in the mindset bucket though.
And yet I'm going to say that your positive mindset is probably the best I've seen in anyone ever.
Thank you.
You are always positive when you come in the office. You put a smile on your face. You
Yes.
talk to everybody nice. And I know what's going on in the background. I'm thinking, how does she do that? I don't get it. So I think that discipline, especially early on, if you know the job, if you know you love it, discipline is one of those things you got to hit first to try to get everything to fall in line. So I understand that. I'm not saying it's bad, but I like this. He said, let's see. No, I don't want to go there.
Are the page numbers on the?
Not on
devices
here. They're all
the page
different
numbers on
because
the-
No,
of,
they're all the
yeah.
same.
90% of what it takes to be successful is mindset. And then he goes on to say you could be a world-class athlete, you can go to Olympics, you can do anything if you're willing to work hard enough and have the right mindset that you're going to do it. That's not always true. And here's why it's not always true. I wanted to play golf as good as anybody. I wanted to be able to have a handicap of 5, which means 5 over par routinely. I don't have the temperament for it. So there was one year that I went out and hit golf balls every single day for 365 days, even in the dead of winter. I went someplace and hit golf balls, and I never really got very good because my temperament was bad. Now, but you could say that my temperament was the issue. That was a bad mindset. I got angry at myself when I didn't play right. I got angry at other people when they cheated. I got angry at other people who didn't know the rules. They were just out to have fun. So my mindset kind of killed me on that. And I can get that. I can take it. But I couldn't overcome my mindset. I decided it was better for me to have serenity than to throw golf clubs in the water. So I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, that reminds me of me trying to figure out line dancing. Was going to
Figure out what?
line dancing.
Oh.
I mean, I went to the line dancing lessons for like 6 weeks in a row, and I'd get so frustrated, I'd get mad, and I was like, this isn't any fun. So I just stopped.
So I was talking to another brokerage owner, not to interrupt you there. I was talking to another brokerage owner last week, and this sentence hit me. You're saying that mindset is more important than making sound business decisions or even having new innovative ideas. Now, first off, I know everybody in this room knows a real estate agent somewhere that still doesn't have a cell phone or can barely turn on their computer, and they're killing it in the market.
What's the name of that book?
This book,
I'm trying to find it on my Kindle.
oh, I don't remember what. Oh,
It's
Dominant Thoughts.
Dominant
Yeah,
thoughts.
Dominant
Dominant.
Thoughts.
Okay.
And I think it's free on Kindle if you remember.
If you're doing a Kindle trial, it's free. If you're not, it's $5.
Oh,
And he makes a point here. It's good to make sound business decisions and having new technology and all that stuff. But when I was talking to that business owner, we both agreed one of the reasons that we think we did a little better than other people was too often business owners are waffling on a decision for weeks and weeks and weeks. And at some point, good or bad, you have to make a decision so you're not stagnant. And if you make a bad decision, you back off of it and go the other way. But make a decision. And he says things like fear, insecurity, concerns, worry. Those really creep in and start affecting your attitude and your ability to make decisions, and slow you down trying to make the sound business decision to stay away from new technology. Embrace it, try it, and back off of it if you need to, but don't be stagnant.
Sounded like you were on your podium.
Hmm?
Sounded like you were in front of a podium.
Yeah.
Be stagnant.
And the Lord said, no, yeah, okay.
do you think purposeful and disciplined are the same thing?
They come together. Uh,
I think behind both of them is intent.
Don't
know,
you?
you make an intent. And the reason I'm asking is on page 57, be very purposeful about what you listen to, what you watch, who you hang
Yeah.
out with.
Yeah.
Well, because that affects your mindset.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
agree that purposeful can run side by side with discipline. I also think you can be very disciplined to develop routine. Now, is that on purpose? Yeah. And I want my routine to become such that I don't have to be purposeful anymore. It's automatic.
It's routine habit. It's
It-
habit routine.
Yes.
It's something that I've learned. I like what he says here. First, I was purposeful, where you were purposeful about what I watched, listened to, and read. And I'm going to say this and please chime in at any time, you guys online too. How many people got tired of reading so many political comments and negative comments on Facebook that you quit going there for a while?
Yep.
The younger generation said Facebook is where old people go to argue.
I would agree a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to be careful because I shared this story, I think, last week. There's a pretty popular Facebook poster in real estate that does a lot of, in Instagram, does a lot of videos and says some things and whatnot. And I watch those sometimes and I think what they just said isn't true. And I've kind of decided that I can either worry about that or, as my wife says, give them free rent in my mind. Or I can say, oh, that's interesting, and move on.
Yeah. Move on.
I watch the news every morning because I want to be informed. But I don't. I also read very positive things like this book. The things I love to do. Now I'm really getting that. You guys online, you might. Are we recording this?
Yeah.
Okay. So I love to take a bath with my iPad and find music. People that, and I'm playing it as loud as I can on my iPad, and I'll play people that are trying out for, these talent shows and music that's done a little bit differently. Or, one of the things I found was a Harry Nilsson demo song where he was doing it as a demo before it was all mixed down. I love to find that kind of process and hear it. That is my joy. So I don't just read bad news all the time. I've got to have that joyful thing. What do you guys do for joy? Anybody want to share?
Julio? Julio says music for those of you online.
And even the blues don't bring me down, because I'm listening to the guitar
I
licks.
look, I use always I listen Hispanic music, you
Mhm.
know,
Talk about a joyful music. Oh man,
yeah.
Hispanic music
Yeah,
is.
Spanish is good. I like it. Sometimes in the office I have music too. I
Mhm.
don't like to use listen news.
Right, yeah.
I walk
Music.
by your office and I'm kind of jamming.
Yeah.
Well, family too, right? You're a big family person.
Oh yeah.
I mean, being around family makes you happy.
Yeah,
too,
we
right?
try to meet all weekends with the whole family. After mass, we are going all Sunday to lunch. We are only we are 12 people. That's it.
Only, yeah.
Only 12.
Elena, what do you do for joy? You haven't said anything yet today.
Elena.
Elena.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Uh,
I don't know. I just work. That's it.
you work, yeah. Do you find joy in your work?
Well, yeah, obviously. No, no, I think redoing the houses is fun. It's kind of relaxing to go over there and paint.
Mm, cool.
How about you, Erica?
Well, I absolutely love music and going to concerts and it helps that my boyfriend lives 45 minutes away, so like when I'm traveling to or from his house, like I will either listen to music if I'm in the mood, but a lot of times I listen to YouTube videos in my car just through the Bluetooth. Um on whatever subject it is that I'm interested in, because I'm not distracted by other things on my phone since I'm driving. So I'll actually, listen to the whole thing and not be thinking about other things. I should start a load of laundry, all that kind of stuff. So it kind of gives me just time to focus on whatever subject I'm learning about.
Very good.
How about you, Ray? What makes you happy? What do you do to make you happy?
Is his
You
hand
know,
up?
I enjoy time with the grandkids, walking the dog. I find that really relaxing and enjoyable. I like music, so going to the gym, a lot of different stuff. I can't say that I find a whole lot of joy in work, but I find it satisfying.
Well, and satisfaction is, well, let's hit Tammy before we. Tammy?
I am big into music. We are big kitchen dancers,
Well,
and we do, and we do a lot of music. We do a lot of TV too. We've always got the TV on in some room and do TV and music.
I posted on Facebook a few weeks back. My wife and I used to watch a lot of shows about, like CSI and NCIS, and well, some of them are pretty good. After a while, you get enough rape and murder, is what I call those shows. You get kind of tired of it. So we started about 2 months ago watching a show called Heartland. I don't know if you've ever heard of Heartland, but it's very much like a mini Peyton Place with, I'm dating you, we break up, we get back together, but it's all centered around horses, and it's all sort of joyful, and the writing is clever, and the couple that finally got married, and the grandfather that barbs everybody. I love listening to my wife start giggling like a little girl when something comes up, and I think, really, you? Because she used to like shows like that, but she is now. It's just okay, yeah, fine. But there's something else I want to get into now. What am I doing on a daily basis to strengthen my mindset? And the guy said something I thought was important, because they talked about reading and learning, and you think I'm adjusting my mindset, I need to be really deep and concentrated, and he said those are just a couple of things you can do: completing tasks, projects, goals, even exercising or spending time with positive people. Now, for me, I really like it when I set out to do a task and I get it done.
That's what Ray was talking about, is satisfaction.
There's a satisfaction there that raises your mindset. And I was going to add that to Ray's. So thank you. And I believe all of us kind of had that. I think, I said Cheryl's the most positive person I just adore it when she comes in my office. She floats out of it way too fast, but I adore it when she comes in because of that positivity. And I think if we look around the office, we don't really have what I would consider a dark cloud or a negative Nelly that is bringing everybody down.
We did, but that's one thing too, is that dark cloud. They want to be around people like themselves too, and they didn't find it here, and they go bye-bye. We are drawn to people that we want to be around that are like us, and that dark cloud agent left.
You'll have to tell me who it was later, because I'm too stupid to recognize. But I think there is something to that, and they talk about in this mindset, negativity breeds negativity. If you want to argue politics on Facebook, you get a whole lot of people who want to argue with you. I don't want to do that anymore. I have some definite opinions about politics, but I also don't let that decide what my day is going to be. I won't share that. That one's bad. I must work daily to remove drama around me, personally and professionally. Comment?
That's why I fired my whole family.
Hey, I did too. It was awesome. Well, just the siblings and my mother, but other than that, it was great.
Mom and her side of the family.
Yeah.
I think we all know somebody who's done that if we haven't done it personally.
Yeah.
Even Tulio with his family probably was somebody he doesn't talk to.
I don't. I doubt.
The Hispanic.
They say something here is true. They say, believe me, drama is a cancer that grows.
Yeah, I like that.
Yep.
It is cancer that grows. And I think you have to decide how you're going to deal with drama too. I work very, very hard to stay very calm when there's a dramatic agent going off on me on the other end. Most because this is going to sound I feel superior when I don't have to go down to their level, and I'm smiling inside of myself. I think I'm pissing them off more. That's fun. And I don't say that, I had an agent on the phone once. It's one of the very few people that did this. You know her from radio. Who didn't go through a broker, came straight to me and was telling me what a bad broker I was and my agent was and so on, and went on arguing for 15 minutes and kept saying, and I kept saying, you need to go discuss this with your broker. You need to go discuss this with your broker. And so I couldn't get her. I finally had to hang up while that agent was mid-sentence. It was that bad. And I've heard other stories about her. But then I read something else when you're talking about dealing with drama. There's an agent in town who claims they know who the dramatic agents are in town. They've judged them. You can tell where I'm going with this real quick. And so if they know another agent is calling them or texting them, they won't respond to them until after 5 o'clock in the evening because they believe that, and only text with them so they won't have to step into their drama. Now, that particular agent was fairly dramatic on their own because you'll find that when there's one finger pointing out, there's 3 fingers pointing back. So if you're calling somebody else dramatic,
Exactly. We are human magnets.
Yeah, we are.
I mean, we attract what we're putting out, what we think about, what we're focusing on. It's like a magnet.
And
But at the same time, what we're accusing someone else of doing is usually what we're already doing.
Right.
Yeah, the faults you find in other are usually your own.
And so whenever I get really pissed at Ken, I look at myself and it's like, okay, I'm seeing this in him. So what am I doing?
I
Right.
do the same thing, only
you
not
must be
necessarily
going to
with my husband.
counseling. You must be going to counseling.
Oh, I got lots of counseling going on.
So I don't say that we need to, we don't need to avoid drama. We need to decide how we are going to deal with it on our side of the street. Because the only thing you can control is what you're doing.
Mhm.
And in this business, 70% of real estate agents are emotional decision makers. That means they're going to be dramatic. If their drama is out there, how are you going to deal with it? Are you going to go down to their level or are you going to stay where you feel comfortable? Don't let them move you. Try to bring them to where you are. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Well, I'm remaining
I just tell them to
professional.
call you.
Yeah, call the broker.
That's what I do. I'm like, I'm not dealing with you.
What'd you start to say, Cheryl?
Remaining professional. Did a deal 2 years ago, 2 summers ago, that I lost it on this agent. And to the point where I had to offer an apology later. So remaining professional, and I had a reason to lose it. It was fair, but staying professional is something to keep in mind because we make a lot of money for our clients to remain unemotional. Even though we're feeling it, we don't show that.
I say this all the time. If something goes wrong in surgery, I don't want my surgeon to just throw his hands in the air and start yelling at everybody. I want him to stay calm and solve my problem.
This conversation reminds me of something I saved off of Facebook that I actually liked. Classy is when you have a lot to say, but you choose to remain silent in front of fools.
Ooh.
I like that.
I was gonna say, email that out so I can put it on my wall.
Yeah, you should make that Tracy's quote of the day and send it
Sure.
to everybody.
For sure.
So for me, it's not even, and I struggle with the word professional because I know people in this business that believe they are highly professional, and they may be, but they have a bad attitude, or they're negative, or they're dramatic. And I like to stay happy. The more negative they are, the happier I try to treat them. I really do.
Kill them with kindness.
Hmm?
Kill them with kindness.
Kill them with kindness. There was one other quote, and then I'm going to move to the next chapter. Because here's part of the problem we have going into the next chapter. We're all independent contractors, independent businessmen. I don't go to Francesca and say, here's what you have to do today. Here's your quota. Here's your this. Here's your that. Now, she may prefer that I do that. I'm just throwing it. And if she did, then we would set up coaching where she would come to my office and once a day we would let me see your results and so on. But that's not what most of us do because most of us resist that. But he says in here, I am in the rejection business. What a powerful statement. We think we're in the real estate business. We're not. Real estate is our vehicle. We are in a people business.
Just
Go
like
for
McDonald's.
no.
Huh?
Go for no.
Go for no.
And people are going to reject you.
Oh,
It's a
McDonald's-
little bit. You can have it read in an hour. Go
Yeah,
for no
go
is
for
one of
no.
the most powerful lessons.
I think
ever
I've got
learned.
that on my list of books we should look
It
at.
is a
Well,
very
and
good
any
book.
form of sales.
You're going to
This-
have a
yeah,
high rejection rate.
Yep.
And
Well-
you have to decide if you're being rejected because of you personally or rejected because of what I like to say, not right now.
Or it's just getting you closer to your goal. You know, that rejection is just getting you closer.
So if I have to talk, Tulio's, he talks to people every morning. If he makes 15 phone calls in a week and gets one client, he's in the rejection business. He worked to get those 15 rejections. Yay. And that's kind of hard to realize. But if we don't go down that road, we start getting that negative mindset. Oh, another one said no. Oh, another one said no. Oh, you can't do that. That's not what we're in. We're in the rejection business. Anybody have comments on that? Okay, then. I'm not going to tell you have to go out and exercise. But I am going to tell you the next chapter is do the right thing always.
Integrity.
Did everybody read the story here? Do I need to make a synopsis of it? That was powerful, wasn't it? What do you do with that person? Now that's a little different because on us, because you guys don't have a sales manager. If you were on a team, you would have a sales manager. Did you show up today? How many calls did you make? Did the calls result in sales and so on? And they have all these metrics. So here's my question to all of you. How many of you lied to yourself this week about how many calls you were going to do, how many videos you were going to do, how many clients you were going to try to contact? You are your own sales manager.
That's a really good way of looking at it. For me, this chapter didn't mean as much as all the other ones before it because it's about basically integrity. And
Uh-huh.
everybody we work with, everybody here has, that's our culture. We have integrity. But the way you just put it, look at myself. Do I have integrity with myself?
Right.
Wow.
See, I had to think about that for a while because yes, I believe we all try to do the right thing, if not always, 99% of the time, because of how we do real estate. But we're talking about in a lot of these mindset classes, how do you generate business? And the reality is, how many of you lied to yourself about, oh, I did prospecting this week. Oh, I'm going to do prospecting next week. Oh, I'm going to, where is your new business coming from? And what have you done to generate it that you're actually saying, I set out to do X and I did it?
But then they twist that because they don't want to, do the lie. So then it becomes this laundry list of excuses of
Oh, yeah.
why
Yeah.
I didn't do it, which again, you're still lying to yourself.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
easy to,
guilty.
Oh, we all are.
we all are. Everybody in the room is. People who aren't in the room are. We've all said we're going to do, because prospecting is hard. There's no two ways about it. And you have to find out what is good for you.
Prospecting is rejection.
Yes. But you know what? For me, and again, this is me, I loved open houses. I would do an open house every Sunday. I'd miss my family. Yeah, that was tough. But I would meet new people. I'd know about the neighborhoods. That was how I got started.
That was your mindset.
That was my mindset. And when somebody walked in, I knew most of them wouldn't like that house because I knew the percentages. 3% of people will buy an open house they walk into. That's a
high?
national average.
Yeah.
Huh?
It's
Yeah, I
that
was gonna say
high?
that is pretty high.
Yeah, I know that feels high, but that's what the national average is. So if 100 people walk through an open house, 3 of them want to buy it. Well, we don't get 100 people through an open house. We don't. But that's how I met people and how I was then able to sell myself and be positive with them and sound knowledgeable about the neighborhood and about the market and okay. I couldn't send out postcards worth a darn. I was one of those, I'd buy a bunch of magnets and then I would never use them. Or I would have a bunch of cards and I wouldn't hand them out. So you have to find the prospecting that's going to work for you. But don't lie to yourself. If you're going to say open house is my method, then do open houses and don't skip them. Tulio calls people every day. He doesn't skip them at all, do you? Never. And if yours is to set up a drip email campaign, then do it. But don't have to it. Don't lie to yourself. That was the big thing that I took away from this. Fudging on reports. And here's something else that I thought was important. In this one, the manager says, I should fire him, but I don't want to because he's a good guy. He's going to do it well. And the other guy said, what does it say to the rest of the team if you don't? What are you saying to yourself if you don't fire yourself? What are you saying to yourself? What am I saying as a broker if I don't do what I say I'm going to do? What do you say to the other ninja team people if they don't do what you say you're going to do? We all have to, our self-respect comes from doing what we say we're going to do for ourselves. Don't lie to yourself. That was my big takeaway there.
It's sometimes more important to keep your word to yourself than it is to others because that will flow into others. But you got to be true and keep your word to yourself.
Yep.
Seems heavy this week.
It is.
Huh?
It is.
Topic of conversation seems really heavy this week.
Well, it is because mindset is difficult. Mindset isn't easy because we're human.
You're right.
It's harder for me to motivate myself than it is to motivate Francesca. It's harder for me to motivate myself than it is to motivate Erica.
Well, it's very easy to give advice. It's very hard to take your own.
Oh, get profound on us.
That's what I do, man. This is a fine print in my job description.
I like this last sentence. Nick said, I have a great role model. I trust you wouldn't steer me wrong. Are you steering yourself wrong? I know I keep bringing it back around to you, but see, we can only control ourselves. The only thing Nick could do to this guy that worked for him is fire him. He couldn't make him do the right thing. He could fire him, find somebody else. You can't fire yourself. Well, you can, but suicide's not acceptable in this country. So
You were talking about how you find it easier to motivate other people than yourself. And kind of what I've learned is that when you motivate yourself, it's basically from the outside. You're motivating. When you're motivating somebody else, it's from the outside.
right.
When you inspire them, that's
Ooh.
from the inside.
I like inspiration.
Inspire in spirit. So when you inspire yourself, it's coming from the inside. You're going to the heart of what matters.
That's very good. I like that.
So profound. I love her.
Well, as I said, she's one of the most positive people I know. Let's see, how do I get back to what chapters are for? Pay attention, under promise and over deliver. Oh, golly.
That's sales 101.
Right.
Yeah, you say that. My small tidbit on under promise and over deliver. There was a salesperson in radio. You're already laughing. Who then became a real estate agent.
Oh God, that's a long list.
And my wife hated doing remotes for that person.
What's a remote?
A remote is where I would sell you, I'm
A
gonna do a
live-
live broadcast on
On
site.
location.
And because we're there with our big van, everybody's gonna drive in and stuff. And they would talk about how many people are gonna show up to your remote no matter what happened, but then not deliver anything on the
Ah.
promise, no promos, the
So
van wouldn't be
basically
there.
money,
Huh?
Cause you're paying for that.
Oh, yeah,
It's
paying a
yeah,
big,
it's advertising.
back in the nineties, it was $2,500 or more for a remote.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Well, for
Some
the
of-
overall, I mean, I just know what I made.
Yeah,
$75 to 100 an hour to
Yeah.
show up. Yeah.
so and that spilled over into the real estate marketing. Over promise, under deliver. Always do more than you talk about. That's going to be a good chapter for me. That's been little heavy, little less heavy. Less heavy.
Is that this week or next week?
Next
That's
week.
next week.
Okay.
That's next week. So I'm going to stop recording. Next week we'll do what chapters? We're on 7 and 8 now, 9 and 10.
9 and 10 is pay attention
And-
and under promise and over deliver.